everybody. This is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and I've kept it up for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and maintenance. Today we're going to continue this series, What to Eat or What Not to Eat, and talk about vegetarian restaurant or cuisine. Now, before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also, check out my website, Naturopathic Earth, which has hundreds of articles and recipes, my 2 books about my weight loss journey and success. And lastly, if you appreciate my content, there's a link for PayPal. I will put a banner in for the playlist of what to eat, what not to eat. I think this is episode 7. So I have one on American food, Italian food, Greek, Middle Eastern food, Thai food, and so forth. So even though vegetarianism, I suppose, I guess you can consider a cuisine. Most people would not probably consider it a cuisine per se, but I thought it'd be good to do an episode on that because I understand that there are some people who are either transiently are vegetarian or are permanent vegetarians. We do have an episode not that long ago about, is vegetarianism a good long-term solution for weight loss and maintenance? I'll put a banner for that episode as well, so you can check that out. So let's talk about things to do, things not to do, and let's start with things not to do. Well, you can certainly be a junk food vegetarian, and you might know people in your life who are like this. So you can stay away from meat, and I'll just talk about vegetarianism in general. So we're not going to necessarily talk about strict veganism, but you could stay away from animal products and the muscles of animals, so to speak. And we automatically think, because of the green color and the green logos, that means necessarily it's healthy, but it's not. You could be a junk food vegetarian. You could just be eating Cheetos and Takis and Pop-Tarts and cereals and frozen waffles and just a wide variety, and not to mention sodas and juices, just a wide variety of complete junk. And just because it doesn't have an animal product in it doesn't mean it's healthy. But there are a certain segment of the population that think that, well, if it's vegetarian, it's healthy. No, it just means it doesn't have animal products. So you can certainly even go to a place like Whole Paycheck, Whole Foods, and get their version of their Oreos, get their version of their Cheetos, get their version of a gigantic Italian white cake. And of course you could eat that, and that's a complete pitfall. So I think we just have to briefly mention that, but I think most of you guys understand this. What are their pitfalls? We do have an episode here on acai bowls, how you should avoid those. And I would mention not just acai bowls, but juices in general. You can go to like Jamba Juice or these kind of equivalents or make your own juices. And we have an episode here, what's better, juices or smoothies. But overall, if you're going to store-bought juices or a place like Jamba Juice, you need to watch out because that's just tons of sugar. And if you look at their liquid base, many times it's orange juice or some sort of sweet base. And when you're just getting all that sugar, albeit from fruits like strawberries, blueberries, it's just a fructose sugar spike. And there's no fiber in it necessarily to cut, or fat, like if you're going to make your own smoothie with full fat Greek yogurt or with whole milk or whatever you're going to use to kind of regulate that sugar spike. So I would, as a whole, stay away from any sort of implementation of juices in your diet. Like if you have a Jamba Juice courtesy card and you're going there every day, I would tell you that's probably not too smart as well, because it's a lot of sugar, a lot of calories, and just a lot of sugar. So you look at the middle aisles of grocery stores, and there's just a lot of pitfalls there as a vegetarian as well. So if you're going to a restaurant or go to a grocery store and you're getting a lot of food that is high in calories but low in nutrition, typically the flour-based foods, as I've mentioned on the junk food stuff here, like if you're eating a diet high in cereals and Pop-Tarts and Danishes and donuts and waffles and pancakes and chips and pretzels and crackers and whatever, this is all junk. It's high calorie and low nutrition. So what should you eat if you're doing a vegetarian diet? Well, you need to be eating foods that are high in nutrition and relatively commensurate in calories. But certainly the obvious ones are going to be pesticide-free fruits and vegetables. We have an episode here on the Environmental Working Group and their kind of annual classification of which pesticides are high, or what fruits and vegetables are high in pesticides and which are low, the Dirty Dozen, Clean 15. So yes, you do want to be eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. So certainly if you're going to a vegetarian restaurant, get the salads, right? Because you would make the assumption as a vegetarian restaurant that most of their produce is going to be organic. Now, not all your produce needs to be organic. Some absorb pesticides more than others. We talk about on that episode on pesticide-laden vegetables. So for example, your berries, your cruciferous vegetables, potatoes, tomatoes, those should be organic. But for example, your avocado doesn't need to be that. So eat a lot of salad, of course, if you go to a vegetarian restaurant. But there's a funny meme. Let's see if I can find it. It's fat people asking vegetarians, and the fat people are eating the standard American diet, and the vegetarians are skinny, and they're like, "Where do you get your protein from?" And I think this is a certain element of ignorance that a lot of Americans have, and that they think that the only place to get protein, which we do need, let's be real, we do need healthy fats, and we do need proteins. Now, depending on how close you subscribe to the FDA plate analogy or the pyramid, I mean, the typical thing used to be 30% fat, 30% protein, 10% fat. But whatever the ratio is, we do need a certain amount of saturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, monounsaturated fat, and protein in our diet. So definitely, as at a vegetarian restaurant, as a vegetarian, you want to go to eat sources that have a decent amount of protein and healthy fats. So where are you going to find these proteins? You can go to quinoa. Quinoa is a vegetable, and it's a grain, I suppose you could say it's a grain, that has a decent amount of protein. You can look at amaranth. You can look at the lentils. And some people have issues with lentils because they can be a little hypoallergenic depending on who you are. But peas and beans and cashews and peanuts, which are from the lentil family, are a good source of protein, great source of plant-based protein. Ask South Asia, for example, because they eat tons of it over there. But just regular, your black beans, your refried beans, I mean, there's issues with it being refried, but those are good sources of protein. You're also going to look at your kind of fatty fruits and vegetables. So avocado, make some great guacamole. It's a good source. Going back to the legumes, chickpeas, you can make hummus from that. But the fatty fruits and vegetables, so things with coconut-based stuff, whether it be coconut oil, coconut milk, the actual coconut, going back to avocados, these are all great sources. You're also looking at, let's say, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is a high percentage dark chocolate, not 60%, 85, 90%. Great source of healthy fats. You're getting your MUFAs and your PUFA fats there, decent amount of saturated fat, good amount of protein. And of course, with a vegetarian cuisine, you are going to be getting a lot of fiber as is. So fiber is not going to be a problem. So if you're going to a vegetarian restaurant, as a whole, most of the time, aside from maybe their juice bar options, and juices in general are not bad for you if you can do a green juice, they're not a problem. But as a whole, when you go to a vegetarian restaurant, yeah, they might have their vegan cheesecake. You probably want to avoid those things because it's just sugar and garbage. And lots of times, when they take out dairy, lots of times they have to put in other substitutes to make it taste good, but namely sugar. But as a whole, if you're going to a vegetarian restaurant, the assumption is they're going to have a chef or a cook there who knows how to make vegetarian food that tastes good. And so you don't really have as many choices like which are healthy, because as a whole at a vegetarian restaurant, they're going to have a lot of the lentil-based stuff. They're going to have maybe some dishes that have like fake meat or imposter meat or imposter cheese. But as a whole, there's not nearly as many pitfalls at a vegetarian restaurant than there would be at the typical standard American restaurant and so forth. I would just tell you that in general, yes, you can be a junk food vegetarian, obviously. And if you go to these restaurants, I would probably tell you, be wary of any of the smoothies that they make. Unless the smoothies do have some fat in them, they're just going to be a sugar spike. But in general, kind of like the episode we talked about with sushi, there's not so many pitfalls in the vegetarian one, as long as you are getting dishes or entrees or appetizers that have a decent amount of protein and fat, because you need those. And as a whole, at vegetarian restaurants, the people there know what they're doing, so that shouldn't be a problem. Guys, post in the comments, do you go to vegetarian restaurants? I'd like to hear from you. Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.